One and all, it is time. One of my favorite matchups that we get quite a lot of the time, actually. Kiljardi versus Dumu. That's right. The Norse versus the honorary Norse here. And it is going to be English versus Malians. Benny Boy looking pretty lethal on the Malians at the moment. Very obsessed with these Javelineer builds coming in from the Frimba play. But we're in a very different map. Anatolian Hills. Which requires total commitment towards the sheeplands if you want to have plenty of food to work with. And that means you have to go for an early dot play. The interesting part, though, is the Civ choices for both these players. Kiljardi with the English, we've seen how he likes to play this map. He likes that good old council hall rush and suffocation early on. On the flip side, Malians don't necessarily need to engage the mainland because they have cattle. I wonder, could we end up with our first game where neither player goes to the mainland at all? It was definitely beginning that way. Doom, of course, committing all the houses to make sure he gets the gold trickle from the pit mine. And in response, Kiljardi has not gathered more wood, so isn't going for a dock drop. I love this map. I think there should be another sacred site on the spawn side. Possibly. So my take on this map, the thing that I thought probably needs to be changed is and Kavayu's going to rip his hair out because it's not easy because this is a river and rivers have to touch the edge of the map. I think this should be cut off by a mountain pass. I think there should be a mountain peak. Like, this should be T-shaped. This little line here should become T-shaped. Because then, instead of you just, like, suffocating your opponent on the map, you have to play out onto the map. There is even an argument, like, I don't know if it'd be cooler to basically have it so that this is blocked initially. I don't think it needs that so far, though. Like, we haven't seen enough kind of cheesy all-ins on the starting island to convince me that you need to cut this area off. But at least making it so that you can't get suffocated by boats, I think would be a good idea. Because the problem is, like, realistically, the way this map plays is if you're way too late to get onto the water, you probably never get onto the mainland. Because your opponent can just basically sit here with spring ships and stop you building an outpost, and then you can't build a dock. But this is quite cool. Look at what Kiljardi's doing. So he doesn't go for the council hall builds. Makes sense. You're up against Malians. They've got javelins. Like, you'll just lose that long term. Abbey of Kings is a really smart play because now what it allows him to do, is it allows him to sustain. He can come back and heal with injured, but notice where he places it. It's next to the shoreline. This is intentional. It means that if there is a water battle to be had, he can always just heal up under the safety of the Abbey of Kings. It's like you have this plus a dock, and it's like double heal. Or if you had a trade post behind the two players, and then if we get the scenario where one player loses base, the other one can start trading. I think the problem with that idea is that just encourages more starting island all-ins. Which I'm not sure is a good idea. Situationally, it's fine, but if you think about how small a amount of the map this is like almost a quarter of the map. Not even almost a third, it's almost a quarter of the map. If you add the trade post in, you linearize the interaction to be that I can win the game with just this area entirely, right? Whereas instead, taking out someone's base, starting base, is a huge advantage. But it doesn't directly end the game straight away. What you're suggesting where you put trade posts in the corners kind of reminds me of Holy Island, where Holy Island is very much if you lost water, you're screwed. That's not to say it's impossible to come back, but 95% plus the time it is. So it looks like the scout is going to shuffle out. Dumu didn't actually pull his scout across. No, he chose to invest in the walls instead. Yeah, he scouted the king play. If this was Lombos, the walls are maybe still needed, but the problem is it's risky. Your opponent might get there before you get them up, so you just build javelins instead. But against the king, which is going to be a knight unit, you don't want to have to add in donzos against potential Lombo play. Because there's a world in which Kiljardi's baiting you. If you, as Dumu, decide to add in donzos now, Kiljardi, because it's mainly a wood-heavy unit, and because he's playing English with cheap farms, could immediately just add in 2 archer ranges. And then you're in trouble, right? Because how can you afford to just consistently scale javelin donzos? The cattle ranch is going to help a little bit, but then you're taking away from your gold source. It just feels like a lose-lose situation. So I appreciate that read by Dumu. He's going to ignore the king. He's going to move on to the mainland. Do need to be a little bit careful because your opponent can always transport ship the king. In fact, That seems to be exactly what Kiljardi is up to. Yeah, smart play. Oof. I don't think he scouted that. That's important. Dimu's gathering wood here, but he hasn't walled up yet. He's going to be moving deeper. Outpost to come. I like this positioning. He could technically have just pushed the deer into the berries, but he wants to try and get sheep. The awkward part is, and I don't think he saw this. Yeah, he'd be shadowing Kiljardi. Kiljardi has an insane edge when it comes to food. It's 5 sheep to 19 currently. King is going to be on the way. The rough part about this is one outpost isn't going to protect everyone. You can lose villagers here. As long as Kiljardi stops A-clicking. Uh-oh. Dimu, he has got the transport ship nearby, right? No, he sent up river. Uh-oh. Oh, good kaying so far. Needs to be. He actually could min-max this. Nicely done. He shuffles the garrison. So enough to scare his opponent away. Arrowslit's now on the way. Really well microed there by Dimu. Has caused him some big expensive issues in his eco balance though. 500 gold in reserve. Food lacking. So the idle time is definitely stinging him. Meanwhile, Kiljardi is looking to stake a claim on the mainland. It's going to be 2 TC from the English. So this is going to get very interesting. Because the thing that Malians hate more than anything is 2 TC play. Traditionally, anyway. The reason they were able to not hate it as much was these Pro Scouts for Ember Rush builds. But Pro Scouts is discounted on this map. And what I mean by that is there's like less value on the map. You end up with, what is it, 12 deer in the center area and then 5 on each side. So 22 deer compared to a normal 28. On top of that, the positioning is awkward. If you go Pro Scouts into Farimba, you're wearing your food in the wilds. You aren't guarding it at home. You're not going to basically put the extra micro into garrisoning, ungarrisoning, dropping deer, re-garrisoning, ungarrisoning, picking up deer. That's so monotonous. It takes too much effort. So for Dimu, more likely he's looking at Fulani. And that's why Kiljardi is going to DC. Because when you get it early, it builds a big enough economy lead that when the Fulani eventually comes in, your opponent can't really do anything. He can't out-zerg you because you've got good enough food to match him. Wait, what's that? Wish I had the Moon Meander big plays emote right now. I think I remember that one. So King is still harassing here. The Kiljardi, it should just be to try and minimize your military investment as much as possible. Like, he has got stables here. Is there a world in which he considers Pro Scouts? It would be insanely greedy, but, like, you know your opponent is thinking about going for it next. You can see right now, Dimu is scaling into Warrior Scouts. Wait, is this like a bait and switch? Because he's adding in Warrior Scouts, but he could easily have afforded Pro Scouts by now. I think Dimu is messing with him. So he builds the Warrior Scouts to try and like kill the king, but like, yes, this is worth it in its own, but Kiljardi's probably thinking, okay, is he also just going to go Pro Scouts? Because he needs to get food somehow. So it kind of feels like he's really trying to deceive Kiljardi. And it is forcing a reaction. We have got Horsemen getting added in. Now, this is really good for blocking out Pro Scouts play. It's not terrible just to fight against this, though. Because the cool thing now is because you got the king, these Warrior Scouts don't eventually win against Horsemen. Because remember, Scouts, they have healing. Horsemen don't by default. King changes that dynamic. What aside? A little bit of poke back and forth. War canoes are going to be coming out. That's why it's also a little bit slower for them to mass on the land, as you're seeing here. It is the waterside investment. Springle ships, pretty lofty on the price of entry. We're about to just shuffle all the way back, though. Remember, he's going to have that healing the Abbey Kings plus the dock. It would be nice to have the name of the map somewhere in the UI. That's all well and good until we hop into the next game and I forget to change the name of the map, and then people mold that we didn't change the name of the map. It's like extra details that change literally game to game. And I can guarantee across an 8-hour day of streaming it will get missed occasionally. Demo. Ooh. Cheeky little freebie. We'll be able to get the kill. Longbow's now being added in by Killjadi. A smart choice. You'd think it's bad because Malians have javelins, but they don't have any javelins. So, okay, you think it's bad because there's warrior scouts, right? Because this is like the horsemen and the Malians. So you remember that these guys don't actually get bonus against ranged until age 3. So pretty solid idea here. And remember, because Killjadi has the king, he'll always have the ability to heal after an engagement. Longbows just give him that finishing touch. Like right now, technically, warrior scouts could over time kill off the horsemen with good micro by min-maxing, pulling away. But now, with this commitment to longbows, he gets a definitive way to kill off any injured scouts. Oh, you mean from the game engine itself? I mean, that would be intriguing. I don't know where that would go in the overlay, though. Farms are looking good right now for Killjadi. First cluster's already up. He has got the deer that he can shove in. Even if he needs to get that, I mean, he's still got 34 sheep to work with. Oh, it's crazy actually how advantageous it is to get out to this mainland a little bit earlier. Especially poor Dumu just sitting here with, what, 2 sheep having to go for the cows. He spammed out so many of them as well. There's 13 cattle in existence right now. That is crazy. And he is actually going to do it. The madman is going for Rimba. This is kind of nuts. I wasn't really expecting Farimba play with the details involved, but did he scout the 2TC? No, I don't think Dumu ever did. This scout rotation was much earlier, if I'm not mistaken. So, does he assume it's Farimba versus 1TC? Because that would make sense. But against 2TC Fast Castle Ing, or Semi-Fast Castle English, he's going to have trouble here. Okay, choice is going to be important here. What is Dumu thinking? Is it going to be Javelineers? It looks like it's going to be Javelineers. That's a bit rough. So, if your opponent's fast-teching as well, I could have seen Mansa Mustafadi making a lot of sense, but the Longbow threat is already there, so he doesn't want to do it. Freeborn also could have been pretty decent for a dive. For Rimba with Javelineers, you need to poke your way through slowly. Because I think White Tower still beats that on a dive. You might find out, though, because I think Killjadi should be looking to drop a White Tower here. He already has the walls coming up to slow things down. No, that's going to make it so rough. Yeah, so new transport ship from Dumu. Much needed as well. With this wall going up, he'd basically have to hit the wall 1,250 times. And there it is. White Tower is not going to be on the starting island. Killjadi moves into the center of the map. We'll be able to plant on the Pumbaa as well to make it worthwhile. Warrior Scouts, in the meantime, are going to circle around the back. We do have racks being spammed up, though. Honestly, this is looking good for Dumu. I think for Killjadi, with being Mass Javelineers, your ideal situation is you go into Horsemen. Horsemen or Knights. Because the thing with Knights is, like, with the way you can play this map, upriver, you can basically force your opponent to either stand their ground with the Javelineers to protect their villages, or bail on them and lose economy. And remember, because this is not a Fulani build, Dumu is not in a position that he can afford to lose any economy right now. He's almost 20 villages behind now. So castle upon us, he immediately queues up the crossbowman. Remember, Killjadi still doesn't know what we know. He's playing this logically from his perspective. Spearmen and crossbows because he's anticipating Sofa play. On top of that, you've already got warrior scouts in there, so lean spearmen anyway. Only he knew what we know, though. One thing that might be tricky here for Dumu is whenever you try to play javelins, and you guys may have noticed this when you watch on his streams, when you watch other players do it, it's very much a scale and use as soon as possible comp. It's not often you feel good about waiting until you're 30 Javelineers to reveal. It feels like wasted potential. And against economy-wielding civs like 2TC English, you're basically setting yourself up for an easier pivot for them the longer you wait. The worry I have here is Dimmu is going to want to try and hold onto the comp as long as possible before revealing it. And it could hurt him. Do have him garrisoning in the transport ship. Warrior Scouts are buying a lot of time in the center of the map. Relics are looking to be targeted here. Kiljadi did notice, is reacting with his own monks though. Likely looking at a 3-2 split. I could see Kiljadi guarding 2 of these relics. 3 might be a bit of a stretch right now. Because of what the scouts are doing to him. He's having to waste so much time chasing these guys. Actually, hold on a sec. Ooh. Okay, scrap that. This is 4 relics for Kiljadi. He sees it all. Bell's ringing right now to give it away. Love this. Anticipating the move out for the 3rd gold. He's just waiting for an opportunity to pounce. Instead, he's going to find it right next to him. Absolute jackpot for the Finn. They end up losing 5 villagers here. Yep. In a game where he's 2 TC versus 1. The Javelineers, though, he actually goes for the main TC. I can't believe that. That's actually so crafty. And look at this. The Warrior Scouts are waiting to receive, but the Horsemen close by will be able to protect. But what a genius idea there. So instead of heading across to a losing fight against Horsemen, he stays completely away from them and goes after the farms of Kiljadi. Okay, we may still have a game here. Gets hit, but hits back just as hard. Warrior Scouts are going to start to get shut down here. We'll have to hang around to try and kill off the monk to slow things down. It's just not working out well. Oh, every little loss adds up here for Dimmu. He needs a little bit more time to go across to his new front line. He has got Sofa scaling, but it's not fast. And to make matters worse, his opponent does already have some crossbows to contest that. Gotta give it to him, man. This is crafty. The way he played upriver with the Javelineers really changed the dynamic in this game. Just avoiding the white tower, avoiding the real threat, and now able to find additional workers. He can one-hit them as well. There's no textiles. So raids proving impactful here, but the Horseman reaction is starting to come through. Tough as well, because remember, if the Horseman managed to trade 1-for-1, then it's a good trade in Kiljadi's position. It's better economy, and the other important part about that is like you're killing the S tier unit Dimmu has right now. This is the king of the kings. This is his landmark choice. Kiljadi. Wow, he doesn't want to stop gathering. He's like, screw it, just send in the Horseman. So first wave gets mopped up. He has got the transport ship, so he can actually just pull these horsemen across and clear this group as well. Important, because remember, right now, one of his TCs is pretty much just getting shut down. I mean, I'm impressed that Ben's still looking in shape here. He's shrunk the eco lead. He's continuing to do so as well. These raids are just hitting. It is costing him, though, and you can see where the military difference is building big. Yeah, that is kind of a growing concern. If this wave of Javelineers gets cleared up, how do you compete with Kiljadi's numbers? Cleared up, it will be. That's what we said about the Horseman play. There's just no running away from them. Slight migration? Yeah, I think that was originally part of the idea. And yes, Dimmu does play all the civs. It's just Malians is a pretty comfortable civ for him at the moment. Makes sense. Everyone has certain comfort picks. And the Ottoman detail, that was because he was just playing in a tournament where you have to play Ottomans only. So he was practicing a lot of Otto for it. Is there a slight chance of Dimmu winning? So to me, Javelineer contract isn't about defensive play, it's about aggressive play. Javelineers are all about how do I commit onto my opponent and frustrate them and kill them. I think there's a small chance Dimmu can win because he has kept the eco difference under control. He shrunk it, right? Like, it was much bigger than this. But the problem I'm seeing is he's now starting to get hit. Before, it was just him doing the swinging. But we're now getting to the stage where Kiljadi is able to move into his territory and find kills. That's where I worry for Dimmu. Because as we said, Javelineers, they're great when you can kite away. You have to think of Javelineers a lot like horse archers. Horse archers look best when they have the flexibility to leave when things get bad. You can do that when you're attacking your opponent. You cannot do that when your opponent is attacking you. Because if you do that, you're going to lose something else. So for Dumu to look good here, it just needs to be consistent aggression. My worry right now is his entire comp does get countered by spears. Keep drop now coming for Kiljadi. Dumu reluctant to commit. Meanwhile, Waterside is getting a little bit annoying. Spiral ships just starting to move in. The javelin is... Poison damage works on boats, by the way. Wait, what? They're rotting the wood. They're rotting the wood. Why? Why is that a thing? Oh, best not to question. I do hate it when my little boats get sick, you know? Nothing worse than when you're trying to sail the high seas and then your boat just goes, achoo! And then you flip over. Sink. Oh, it's horrible. It's acid, not poison. I don't know, man. That says poison javelins to me. This is some avowed levels of poison rot. Oh, God, this is horrible. The javelins... They're just wasting so much time just to get one kill here. And he decided to Normandy drop on this one. So Javelin line is going to get wiped here. Kiljadi has maintained that military lead. Most importantly, he's now scaling the economy again. Good fight over here, at least for Dumu. The problem is always going to be that white tower. It's a sticking point. You can dive it. Like, you actually have a very good army for diving static emplacements with the Javelineers and Sofa. It's like maximum armor, right? You've got 6 armor on the Javelineers, 7 on Sofas. The tricky part is it's still going to be a difference maker with the rapid fire. Not to mention the fact the rapid fire gives everything else via the attack speed. But this is crazy. Oh my god. Wait, Dumu has all of his archery production on the starting island. Oh my god. Okay, that was overkill. 2 demos for 1 javelin? That was a sick idea by Kiljadi. If he could have cut this right here, got rid of the transpo ships, Dumu can just be carved up like a turkey at Christmas. Instead, though, look at what Dumu's actually doing. I'm impressed, man. It shows you how crazy the cow value is for this Civ. The fact that he's kept himself alive, food-wise, the whole time because of that. Never this awkward farm transition he needed. The people on the boat are getting sick. I mean, by that logic, getting hit in the face by a javelin is probably going to be more impactful on my health than the poison tip, you know? Okay, so controversial take. I think Malians should have had poison dart blowers, not archers. And here's why. It makes more sense that you would like get poison tipped by a dart than poison tipped by... Like, an arrow hitting me is probably going to kill me, you know what I mean? Not always, but more likely to kill me straight away. A dart, however, that's going to be something that you definitely want to laser poison. And oh my god, Kiljadi, please. He barely got any of the map. No, come back! Only 4 got away. I will get them over in the end. And it is still a big eco lead for Kiljadi. Not to mention Dumu, this keep drop is going to be a waste. It goes down. Anything you kill, I can kill too. 6 villagers get cut down. Primary TC is now being targeted. That's got another 5 villagers inside. Kiljadi, I don't really see him be likely to commit to defend this anytime soon. Might just be more value to push into your opponent's side. Another keep drop coming from Dumu. The Javelineers are beating all the boats. Oh my god. Alright, what if we just gave them the hybrid attack where they set these on fire? Demo? Not bad, actually. It paid for itself. So, what I like to believe is actually happening is these javelins are throwing these spears so damn hard that it full-on just penetrates through the boat like some sort of rotwood effect, you know? Like, these guys, these are all African Leonidases. That's what we're dealing with here. These are truly Wakandan spears. Villagers trying to get away. I just don't see how you get out of this now. However, on the flip side, Dumu's villagers are also in trouble. The burn through is real here. Dumu, it's crazy. It looked like for a moment he was getting ready for Imperial, but after the back and forth skirmish, he was forced to recommit. He's now up to almost 50 Javelineers. And this is where the Javelins get scary, because they are just as good at raiding as cavalry. Killjoy needs to be reacting to this play. The problem is the natural reaction is mass horsemen, as we've seen. But that costs a lot of food, and a lot of food he doesn't have. No. Instead, he's just fighting archer ships. Wait, that's kind of sick. Yeah, no, that is actually sick. Archer ships have 0.5 more range. If you get Admiralty, even more. Demo ships also coming in for good wallops here. This is sick. It's a mass archer ship protect. Okay, that is so cool. It works. You can outrange him all the time. Meanwhile, under the keep, it is turning into a massacre. There's enough torches here to still take down the castle. Crossbows are mopping up all the sofas. This is crazy. Killjoy's winning on two sides of the map. And Dumu is fast running out of steam here. That's all the javelins just melting. He only has 20 left. He was up to 50 just a minute and a half ago. Oh my god. There's nothing left for him. Dimu's gonna be stuck on the starting island with no gold. Which means no javelins, no sofas. Which means no game. What a sick game. Those javelins did actually pose a real threat. If they ever got to the point that they transport land, you're going to actually see Killjoy losing 20, 30 villages. But in the end, all he can get across is a pitiful 3. Shut down, shut out. Castle, he's still alive, but he's going to have to get to repairing soon. Yeah, peels off just enough horsemen to keep them away, so he doesn't lose the last of the crossbowmen. That means if you try to repair, you're going to get sniped. But Dumu knows he has to make this move now. Will attempt it, has got the textiles. Banker repairs, doesn't look like it's been taken as the tech, no. Looks like he will get the cleanup. So Killjoy in the end actually does lose the army underneath the castle. How is this, like, I don't know how this game is still so close. That's sick. This castle should have been dead a few times over. He didn't have banker repairs. That would have at least made sense of how he clutch repaired it. But maybe there's an argument that Killjoy overreacted with the archer ship count. He went up to 7. He pretty much had done the real damage by 4. Remember, every time he adds in an archer ship, that slows down the production on land. So Dumu says, I'm not dead yet. Don't count me out, KP. The villager lead, once again, remains under 20 difference. However, Killjoy does have double Sacred Sight. He does have the relics. And I don't really see any massive ranches here. Not to mention the fact that Dumu was missing gold for a long time. And in fact, although he's reclaimed this area, it only has 200 gold left on that vein. He needs to venture out deeper. That means things are going to get more risky. In the meantime, there is going to be a move to intercept any reinforcement waves. Should be enough archer ships to shut down the transport. So that's going to block the next wave from Dumu from arriving. And Killjoy is scaling just mass knights. Uh-oh. Why is he pick mining the small one? He didn't scout it. Good question. He legit didn't scout up here. Dumu, he's played one round of this already, right? And I'm pretty sure the big gold vein is quite consistent in this spawn location. Or anyway, you should assume there's one on the map. But like, to forgive him for it, if this is his second time playing the map, it's pretty easy to have not consistently remembered the count of each resource yet. That is unfortunate though, so didn't have the big 8k, which I think is more defendable as well. It's a bit further away from your opponent. Demos are going to be coming in. So mop up on the dock. Dumu is not going to get through with the next wave. It's crazy because this could be so much more oppressive. Killjoy didn't bother to go for the Admiralty. Admiralty would allow you to easily outrange these guys. Never a risk. New docks are coming up. So Dumu Won't be kept away for long. Needs to get every javelin he can across. The villagers also... Okay, yeah, he was running out of food. I don't know if Dimu can keep this up. These gaps are killing him right now. Because he had to rush the castle. That slowed down his gold gathering to get additional cattle out. And meanwhile, look at what Killjadi's doing. This is all designed to beat just javelins. And Admiralty is an upgrade. So Admiralty is a unique tech for the English right here. Increases the range of all combat ships by 1. So right now, the difference is an extra 0.5 tile range for archer ships versus javelins. If you get Admiralty, you're going to be 1.5 tiles longer range. Now, there is an argument that like maybe you don't need it because the shoreline isn't that far apart. But you're seeing Killjadi consistently get in range and get hit. So it would be worth it. See if this castle was worth it for Dimu. Last time, it gave him a stalemate. This time, it might be the shipmate that pushes him overboard. Yep, GG gets called straight away. Game 1 to the Finn. One and all, welcome back to the series between Killjadi and Dimu. This is going to be a fun one. We've got French versus Chinese on Dry Arabia. And for once, the Chinese main isn't playing China. No, Killjadi's the one with French here. Yeah, this is a fun matchup, though. I wonder if they're going to play the long feudal. I personally enjoy the long feudal the most. And the reason is this. It's probably the most skill-oriented way that French and Chinese can contest, based on micro. Because it basically becomes about how you can kind of finesse the engagement, right? Charge in, but don't commit. Bait the Zhuge in range, snipe. I wonder if we could get that. The problem I do see with that meta is that one was more indicative of no Pro Scouts meta. Ever since we moved to Pro Scouts, usually what we end up seeing is just fast castle, fast castle. Admittedly, you're usually expecting a French player to add in some knights, but the end goal remains the same. So curious to see how these two want to approach it, especially considering that Killjadi would lean to being the more aggressive party. If you're not familiar with Killjadi, you're new to watching this guy, he usually sends relentless aggression. That last game was more a forced matchup situation where English on a map like Anatolian Hills probably can't all-in Malians, so they have to play defensive. But if you give this man a matchup where he can attack, he will attack like a rabid dog. Right? Like if we had listen-ins with players, you'd probably listen into his mic and hear... That was quite visual for a noise, wasn't it? And yes, thank you. Flip the score. Just to remind people, Dimu did lose game number 1. So Killjadi, if he wins this one, Dimu is out of midweek muster 15, which would be a regression. He was starting to progress to the point that he was making quarterfinals, semifinals a bit more consistently. But we remember just a few weeks ago, he wasn't feeling too well. He was going out in the round 16 there as well. That was where Myriad started to make a name for himself for slaying high-ranked opponents. In this matchup, though, I feel like China is still quite scary to contest on the Pro Scouts, just because of their timing. Especially with a spawn like this, it's going to be quite wide split. So Killjadi has got his tech up in as well. We've got Pro Scouts already on the way for him. Meanwhile, for Dimu, there is no Pro Scouts, which is crazy with only 8 sheep. I guess he obviously needs to go like racks first because of the night threat. But this is very little food to work with. Okay, wait, no, sorry. There we go, 14. Did he just find a bunch or was I looking at the wrong person? I might have been looking at the wrong... I'm an idiot. Killjadi's got 8. So this makes sense, him rushing Pro Scouts. He has got the Knight coming out already. Really nicely done. Usually you want to have this Knight optimized to come out before Pro Scouts so you contain your opponent. And for Dimu, I mean, the cool thing is like you could try to usually shove in deer with spears. You're not likely to do it here, though. The problem is, like, when you shove in deer, you're going to be rallying them all around. They won't brace against a Night Charge. That's the worry that Dimu has to have. I imagine Killjadi is going to start taking the deer closest to him here, just because the limited food he's running on. Looking at the overall spawn as things expand a little bit later in the game, Dimu doesn't have the worst spawn, necessarily, here, right? He's got a nicely wallable area for farms layer, which is also where the gold's located. And what is up, Rookeruns? I see you with the sub, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Remember, guys, smash those subs, get them in. We stream 4 times at least a week. So there's plenty to entertain yourself with here. Especially when we've got absolute chadlaws like this playing on the channel. Alright, 1's if you think Dimu will take this game, 2's if you think Killjadi will. nerf pro scouts? I mean, they kind of did, but they kind of didn't, right? That's like, so saying they nerf pro scouts is like saying they finally tax the rich appropriately. That's right. They have to file the files for an extra $10 cost per year. Wow, that's really going to hit the millionaires where it hurts. And what's up, Better Than Surge? Thank you very much as well. Appreciate that sub. The reality check, though, is like the changes were negligible at best. They barely affected any Civ's ability to pro scout. Even Roost don't really feel the pain of it on their optimization, I would say. That Spear's on the way. Dimu, is he supervising? I think he was. He's switched over the stables now for the scout play. I like this, man. Zerging them out is really smart because if you slow pump them, it won't be enough to stop the knights and the pro scouts. But zerging them out like this, he can move in and block both deers potentially. Now we're already seeing him return. Killjoy just playing a lot wider. Smart move. Going to take a long time to get this home. And unfortunately for him, that Spearman did see him. Yeah, so Dimu knows where to intercept roughly. Instead, though, he's going to fixate on that east side. He's trying to get the close resources. Very interesting approach, actually. I feel like we've seen the Spearman opening to counter the French, but like to this degree, not so much. Killjoy could realistically go into archers now, but I think most French players have just been immediately opening second stables at the moment because they want to be able to pump scouts and knights. It's the most healthy comp for French. Chivalry on the way already, but need to be careful with the knights. Great micro there by Dimu. Great reaction by Killjoy. If he walked east, he would have taken another flurry of hits and been one hit from death. So going west, he dodges the bullet. That was sick. Small little details like that make the difference with a civ like the French. Especially with how expensive each of these knights are. So Killjoy right now is just focused on trying to get as much deer home as possible before making an archer switch. We have got the wood being gathered up, so realistically that could be on the way now. But Dimu, it's the same game, right? Like, they're both perceiving this correctly, that, you know, for one player, he wants the food to just go mass knights. The other wants it to just bypass the early phase of the game. And you can see how committed Dimu is to starving Killjoy of his timing here. Like, 14 spears. You know, there's some civs where this would be really kind of overkill. But against French specifically, you don't feel like this is a waste. If French players get their own way, they will only ever build knights. You have to force them off of that condition. Problem right now for Dimu is look how spread thin he is. Yeah, because of the way Killjoy played this, it kind of made it harder. It's really smart by him, actually. So he went for 3 different deer stacks at once. What does that mean for Dimu? It means instead of him having 14 spearmen standing in one place, he's got like 4 spearmen on each of those locations. And that's why this is working out. Killjoy now just cycles from site to site, clearing them all up. It's another reason why he went for Chivalry, because he always wanted to directly contest this. Pretty sick read by the Finn. And I'm not really sure Dimu has got that much out of this yet. It might be about 50-50 split, which is rough considering like Killjoy is winning the trades. And it's not even close, folks. Dimu has yet to kill a single unit. It's only getting rougher. Barbican now coming in. Usually expect to see this. Really good defense on your gold. And then afterwards, Dimu's looking to rush Castle Age. Killjoy, he's not shy about playing the same age for a few more minutes, just because knights will keep their value. Still need a harsher speed penalty. Yeah, I think I mentioned that when the patch notes came up, is like the changes around speed wasn't enough. Ultimately, like the punishment wasn't real for pro scouts. I don't think the pro scouts shouldn't be viable. I just think it shouldn't be that I can't counter it. Is my take. Now, while we see some CF successfully counter pro scouts, the reality is, I'd say that makes up less than half of the pool of civs in the game. If you spawn Dry Arabia 20 times and you don't have one of like 6 civs, you can't really even think about blocking pro scouts. Right, we've seen how much Chinese, one of the better civs, struggles to block it. HRE can block it. Malians can kind of block it. Delhi has to block it because they can't really play it in a rush themselves. It's just very, very difficult to stop your opponent getting enough value out of the play. That's always been my issue with Pro Scouts is the price of investment versus what you get back is like, it's way too good. Once again, though, like my recommendation for truly nerfing it in a productive fashion is just be reasonable and that, like, you know, give a speed nerf. But the other change I'd personally make is just add new food types. Like, we have an expansion coming up. An expansion would be the perfect time to add new food types to the map. You know, we're probably looking at, what, Middle Eastern again, because we're imagining it's probably a Crusader state. Introduce elephants. Introduce giraffe. Put those food types on the map. Hell, add in chicken. Chicken are everywhere. And then, boom, all of a sudden, like, you've got other things you can do. And the interesting thing about giraffes and elephants is they don't need to be carryable. That kind of the knights. A little bit of poke damage here. I have to back away though. Giraffes in Middle East? I was thinking more around like Egypt. Wait, Egypt? Did Egypt have elephants? They definitely did, right? Did Egypt have giraffe? Or is like many different games just historically inaccurate there? Good defense from Dimmu. Able to boot Kiljadi out of his base. Age up is now on the way though, and it's going to be a Royal Institute. Decent amount of food left to work with. But we are seeing a switch up. I like this. Kiljadi, he's going to be ready for the keep drop. Egypt did not have giraffe? Interesting. But they had elephants, right? Because is it me, or do a lot of like games in the past... I'm thinking like there's been strategy games that would have giraffe, even if they were based in Egypt. Had hippos, lions, and imported elephants. Yeah, okay, yeah. So there you go. Like, you can do those, right? Hippos, elephants, and lions. It's fine. Lions would be pretty cool. Another thing that, like, attach you back. The religious mechanic for food makes it tricky. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no, though. But, like, the point remains the same. There's a perfect opportunity to add new food types, which would diversify gameplay. The end goal of the developers should always be to pull people away from farms as a natural reaction to the game start. Any meta where the start of the game is, I'm going to build mass farms, is the worst metas you'll see for AoE 4. That's my take. You know, even worse than Pro Scouts, in my opinion. Because, like, Pro Scouts is still providing that same safety, but at least it accelerates it, if that makes sense. But, like, once again, the reason why I'm highlighting big things like giraffe, elephants, etc. is you want things that are big enough that Pro Scouts wouldn't make sense carrying them. So, for example, the idea of, like, gazelles doesn't make sense because you've just got a reskinned deer in that situation, right? So Pro Scouts would work there. You want to introduce things that Pro Scouts can't do, right? So, like, if we weren't in the Middle East, maybe you go for, I don't know, apple trees, orange trees. Imagine if there was a resource type that was a hybrid of wood and food. So, like, you could toggle what you gathered off of it, for example. Probably hard to conceptualize with the way AoE4 is designed, but you see where we're thinking different here. It's like, give people different ways of interacting with the map that diversifies game strat, instead of linearizing it towards either we are Pro Scouts or we are farms. Or if they increase the board on the map, invalidate certain civs. Abbasids, Delhi, Ottomans, etc. Malians. That's all I want, right? That's why I think makes AoE4 great. Like, AoE4 is in its best form when you have a litany of strategies at your disposal. Now, it shouldn't be that your strategy is never unreadable. If someone bothers to scout, they should be able to dissect what you're up to. but you should have options. You should never be in a situation where you feel like you have to do it because someone else is doing it. Like, dude, we're not smoking in high school. This isn't peer pressure. But yet, the current meta is smoking in high schools. It's peer pressure. Oh, he done Pro Scouts, so I've got to do Pro Scouts. Oh, he done 2 TC, so I have to do 2 TC, was what it used to be. A designer's dream is to always get away from that. You want people to be able to express their game state themselves, their style. And the other cool thing, by the way, is when you add in those new resource types, you get diversity of like map strategies, right? Like it's like I think Avali said this recently in a podcast, and I wholly agree. He says my goal when I make a map isn't to make every civ good on the map. It's like I'm looking to make most civs good on the map. So if there's 1 or 2 that suck on the map, that's fine to me, and I could not agree more. Can't say wall coming up. Needs to be quick about this. Looks like it will be fast enough. So Killjoy not able to get in. He's just trying to dodge an overcommitment here, because at the end of the day, he's scaling the gigaed late game comp. Knights. Always about the knights. The tricky part is how the macro plays out now. Dumu's hunkering down. He's already got 3 relics home. He got that back what we talked about, which means berries, gold, and an eventual area for farms. Granaries are going to be a lot scarier than French farms here. So Killjoy doesn't really want this game to slow down too much, especially considering he did not go for the guild hall. So he doesn't have that pull and pump option of a red palace. Oh, and by the way, guys, there's the ultimate nerf to cavalry if knight spam ever becomes too OP. Make it so you can eat the horses. Boom! Solved it all. Feel ideally with 16 civs, each map should have like 6 civs that could realistically be the best. I think you should aim bigger than that. That linearizes maps too much. So if you have 16 civs, you want 12 civs to be viable. Maybe there's 1 or 2 that are quite dominant. That's always going to happen in some way or form. But you want to try and alienate the smallest possible number of civs for a map. Because if you don't, then you're essentially punishing people who aren't pro-level players. Because most people who play Age of Empires are not playing all civs in the game. Like, put a number in chat right now for each person. Put a number in chat of how many civs you play. Extinct in Egypt since AD 600. What, the giraffes were? But they were there. I knew it. They go 1, 1, 3, 4, 0. Wow. 3 or 4. You see what I mean? So, like, 3 or 4. 20? Okay, yeah, you're just imagining civs in your head. There isn't 20 civs in the game. Nice try. But, like, most people are going to be probably less than a quarter of the current map pool. Now, some people would argue why add more civs? Because people like different things. There's a reason why some of you only play 1 to 4 civs. Because you don't like the other ones. They bore you, right? Personally, for me, I have no interest in China. I think China's, to me, a very boring civ. Which is crazy, because I usually thrive on complicated things, right? Like, you know the new Monster Hunter? The thing I want to play is, like, Insect Glaive. And Insect Glaive is, like, the most freaking make sure you've crunked 3 Red Bulls and paying full attention to things you're doing type class. So, like, you know, for me, I know that Japan is intriguing because I love how unique their units are by comparison. Once upon a time, I actually liked Roost for the mini game. Once upon a time, guys, I don't like it anymore. You know, like, different things attract different people. So that's why having new civs, even more civs, going up to 30 civs isn't, like, a terrible idea, per se. Didn't know I was a Monster Hunter fan? Hell yeah. I'm like 70 hours in Worlds, but I had some good fun with it. Yeah, I think I play a lot of games that people don't realize I play. The amount of people who drop their jaws when they realize I play Europa and HOM. Actually, HOM was always obvious in the early days due to the green screen backgrounds. Like, I don't know. If I didn't talk about it on streams, a lot of people wouldn't guess that I'm an FPS gamer as well. Did, by the way, just complete the bolt gun game last night. Really sick game. I think it's a really cool game. I had a smile on my face playing through so much of it. I wish it was a little bit harder, but it really did give me the good Doom vibes. And I got to crush some heresy. So, you're wondering why we're metagame talking, it's because so far there hasn't been a really big commitment here. We talked about the late game approaching and how threatening it is for Killjardy. I still stand by that. This is kind of uncomfortable what he's leaning into. To make him feel comfortable, he needs to maintain map control and lock in the golds. But in true Killjardy fashion, gotta get the Rams, right? Yeah, to like show the extremes of, you know, I like one Civ and one Civ only. Just look at like people who play StarCraft 2 for over 10 years and they committed to one faction. Like, you know, that game only has 3 factions, I know, but the point remains that like people found enough enjoyment out of playing one faction. It's not crazy to imagine that there are people that have been playing French since release and only ever will play French ever. Like Killjardy. No. But, you know, like, Killjardy actually is a good example of what I'm talking about, right? It's like, he started to play Chinese now, but before the Pro Scouts meta, he never really played China. It was very rare. It was just, like, I think he's least played Civ. He would meme, I remember the Norwegian land, he would meme about, like, being a China mate. And it's because, like, he would never play. He would never pick it. He wanted people to waste a ban on it because he didn't like TC booming. He wants to attack. Attack, he will. Hits the farms at the early inception point. Dimu only had the first granary set up, and he's running out of food elsewhere. Yeah, he needs to defend this area ASAP. Good slowdown, and Killjardy, you know, the only thing I'd say that's kind of a negative right now is, why no sacred sites? He could have a ticking clock going right now that would light a fire underneath Dimu's ass. Diving is just not really possible here. Dimu's gone up to 7 Nesta Bees. And Killjardy did indeed go runs too. It's just not feasible to really fight into mass spears, Nesta Bees. That's death. It's going to try to just pop lock him, slow things down a little bit. So funny thing is, like, now that I'm thinking about it deeper, the things I used to play over the years. Dawn of War. Dawn of War, my mains were Tau and Eldar. So I started off as a Tau main, really fascinated. And then eventually I just, like, realized how snaky and all over the place Eldar could be. But, like, the whole thing with them is, like, because of the way I play Tau, it was all about subterfuge and sneak attacks. Right? Whereas, like, I didn't really like Space Marines outside the campaigns because they were just seen as the beginner, like, faction. They were very just tanky and stoical all around. It's like, you know, all these different games, like, people have different playstyles. Same logic as to why, like, when I play an ARPG, you'll probably never catch me using, like, the heavy two-handeds. Right? Maybe spears, but, like, I'm not the person who goes and picks up the giant axe. Or the giant mace. And although it's a different format, and AoE4 game, RTSs in general function the same. You know, to the Europa example earlier, some people will never play China. Some people only ever play European civs. Some people only play Middle Eastern civs. So yeah, I kind of hope that we just keep that nice diversity. I think Japan and Byzantine's done a pretty good job in offering that up. Japan in particular. That's why I'm hyped to see what they can do with the Crusader states. And no, I have not played Elden Ring. I've reached the point where it's been so long since Elden Ring came out, and I still haven't played it, that I might just treat that as like an eventual growth goal. Like, you know, when we do like, I don't know, let's say we do a subathon, or let's say we've grown to a certain size, like, we're going to do a playthrough of this now. Because, like, I've been weighing on whether I hold on to Cyberpunk or just commit to that off stream as an example of, like, one of those type of games. But I have played a lot of Souls in the past. So, like, I still rate Demon Souls as one of the greatest games ever. I played Demon Souls when it very first came out. And I still think in a lot of ways it actually bested Dark Souls on setting. Nice little raid here, Dimu. Just getting in. Remember, he's got the Yuan now. Moves rapido. So very difficult now for Killjardy to defend his flanks when he's played exposed like this. We do have the red pass coming in, though. Center of the map, we mentioned this. To win this game, it's all about 8k vein control. He needs it for his night spam. He needs it to make sure that Dimu can never get to mass Hankin-Mace. Yeah, I think I never finished Bloodborne. Bloodborne, like the ones I played, I think I actually might say Bloodborne for like the combat was probably the best game. But for the lore and setting, I think Demon Souls always gets slept on compared to Dark Souls. I haven't played Sekiro. Nioh is pretty intriguing though. That game is kind of crazy. And then I did start playing Wolong. I really need to get back to it because I absolutely adore the Three Kingdoms. Okay, here's like, to bring it back to RTSs, what is the Souls, like, you know, in terms of raw difficulty, what is the Souls comparison for RTSs? I know that StarCraft's very difficult, but I don't think that's the one. I'm trying to think of an RTS which is just so mean to you, it's not reasonable. You know? Like, would it be They Are Billions, maybe, on the hardest difficulty? Is that, like, the closest we get? Because Dwarf Fortress isn't an RTS. They Are Billions is enough RTS-y to be an RTS. Still, right? Anyway, tech up's complete. Dimu has got himself the Great Wall Gatehouse. This is good. It means the farm area is going to be protected. Can't be raided here at all. Red Palace is going to be difficult to break, though. It's just so obnoxious, the position he chose. Because he can more easily wall the north side, and then the south side, rather than the north side, is just so far away. Dota's not really an RTS, though. Remember, we're thinking RTSs. MOBAs are not RTSs. They've been born from RTSs, but they're different. I guess, you know what? Like, I think They Are Billions is the closest. Because They Are Billions, when you play on the hyper hardest difficulty, is like designed to just ruin your life, you know? But there was an interesting game from years ago which theoretically could have been it. And that game, what it was, folks, is it was a time travel game. I forget the name of it. It was very clunky. Like, it wasn't designed well, but the concept was wacky. The concept was that you could time travel back to an early point in the game to, like, eliminate other units. And by doing so, all of their procedural outcomes past that point would be erased from the timeline. So, for example, if you went back 5 minutes and deleted a worker that then had been responsible for building 10 factories, those 10 factories never got built. And because those 10 factories never got built, the 50 tanks that came out of those factories never exist. Absolute mind duck, right? It's like, just listening to that out loud, like, what? That would be, because it's just so unfair. That, like, it still doesn't fit the Souls theme, because although there's logic to follow behind why things got erased, it's punishing you for unknowns. I think what Souls does so well is it punishes you for things that you should be able to see coming, if that makes sense. I can't remember the name of the game. Someone could probably find it. It was absolutely wild. I think it was, yeah, Akron. Akron was the name of it. I remember someone telling me about it in university, and I tried the demo. I was like, this is just whack. So we got little spearman raids coming in from Dimu, but you can see what his real goal is. He's just got mass crossbows still. I don't know. He's trying to chip raid his opponent to death. There is still a lot of time left on the clock. So it's not the worst of ideas right now. The tricky part is Dimu's running out of gold. He has the 4K on the front side, and that is it. Yeah, it's called Akron, A-C-H-R-O-N. I think it's released in like 2008 or something. I remember a friend in university, he was obsessed with it. I was like, okay, I mean, this seems very deeply flawed. Cool concept, though. How does Dimu win? This is a pretty big stretch to try and get out to the sacred site, but right now Kiljadi's army is a bit awkward. He has got a lot of archers. The problem right now for Dimu is I think he has too many crossbows. Like, you don't really need this many crossbows when you've got so many nested bees. You kind of just need more spears to protect you. Because the problem now is your opponent has just got brute force knights. Not to mention incendiary arrows. Like, he's pretty juiced up. Emorph of any boy, he does not have incendiary. He also does not have... Okay, he has at least got elite armor tactics. pretty important here. Divers get coming from both sides. Nice sandwich. Dimmu stuck in the center. Archers need to stagger a little bit, but Killjohnny stands his ground. Slow reaction there. However, the Knights are starting to get in, and the final wave comes around the back. Killjohnny, a pincer attack, and then he brings the hammer down from on top. All Nob's dead now. Dimmu cut off in the retreat. He can't get away quick enough here. What a timing there by Killjohnny. Baited him away from the Sacred Site win condition and into the open fields, deep into French territory. And then sends him to the retirement home. The rough part is Dimmu, though, like, he needed to lose these crossbows, yes, but the way he lost them doesn't feel acceptable. Killjohnny still with 26 Knights alive. Loses the Nesta Bees as well. Hand cannon is now queued up, but Dimmu, we mentioned the gold. He's only got 2k left. And then it's taxation and passive from relics. Absolutely wild fight. Man, Killjohnny, I have my doubts, right? If that had been a direct fight, I think he still wins, but he doesn't end up with 30 plus Knights still alive. But that surround, just spreading Dimmu's very limited spear count, way too thin. Nesta Bees also, although they got that good initial wallop on the east side, he still had multiple groups to target. And now Killjohnny 5 minutes away from a 2-0 victory over one of Age of Empires' finest. The day with Vortex or Miu Micah in that quarterfinals awaiting him. Now, there is something scary here for Dimmu. He has got the hand cannon is massing, he's got pyrotechnics. However, okay, he hasn't gone for it yet. There is a tech for Killjohnny that kind of changes the dynamics a little bit. Allows the archers to contest a little bit better. And that would be to go for the silk bowstrings. He does have a university somewhere. I'm just being a noob when it comes to finding it. He hasn't got it yet, right? He hasn't actually missed quite a few things. Does he want any of these? He's going into siege, so maybe the siege works would be worth it next. Court architects wouldn't be a bad idea when you've got the red palace and the keeps. But if you get silk bowstrings, it allows him to outgun the hand cannoneers. The difficulty is going to be maintain that distance. Yuan Dynasty is still one of the wildest things in this game, in my eyes. Just because of how casually you get it. The movement speed buffer allows you to chase down quite a lot of enemies. Heat drop coming in, but the stone wall is up. He only has one Nesta Bees. There is a cannon on the way. Killjohnny, how we look on the farms? Because that seems to be lacking a little here. He only has 32 right now. I say only. 32 sounds like a reasonable number, sure. But when you're up against Chinese farms, you're behind by a mile, right? It's 43 farms, triple granary. You can see the difference in food income, actually. So this could get padded a little bit now that he has got the third level of food gathering coming in. Wow, Dimmu. Can't help but feel like a siege workshop, just 2 rams would solve this problem right now. I guess not entirely. You have got these artisan placements in the castle down here as well. Ben just has to be very careful not to overcommit. The red palace, there's a reason why Killjoy is trying to force him to fight here. You come just slightly in range of this thing, all of a sudden a garrison force, and you're getting Gatling down. The outpost creep is also just so tilting. Killjoy, he has got the stone for cannon emplacements. Only 3 minutes to go until a victory for the Finn. Dimmu, this is go time, right? You've got 30 hand cannoneers, 60 spears. If there's anything that's going to break him is this. The reason Dimmu's waiting a little bit is he's trying to get ready for that next wave. There we go, break in. This looks good, right? 12 hand cannoneers in reserve, 20 plus infantry units in the front line. But look at the mobility of Killjoy already in position. The mobility of the nobility. As the Knights get ready for the charge in. Keeps you have to get cancelled. It baits him in range. Hand cannoneers aren't really getting close enough, quick enough here. Spears are going to commit. 40 of them into it. But the villagers are ready to repair. The keeper gets damaged. The cannon's not going to be fast enough here. The spear count already down to 18. And the knight count holding steady. 27 still to charge through. Castle up. The hand cannoneers may be going down here. And time is most definitely not on his side. Cannon takes out the back castle in the meantime. And the dive continues. It just doesn't feel like Ben's going to have enough time here. Archers are going to hang around to trade out. We'll start to back off now. But 2 minutes to go on that Sacred Site win condition. Walls are going up. Wooljardy doing exactly the amount of walls he needs to here to get a kill. And he has got the stone to keep this castle repaired. Only one cannon. Dumu really needs that second. Top of that, cannon emplacement's kind of frustrating the hand cannoneers. He's going to have to start sacrificing soon. It doesn't get comfortable when you wait until under a minute to try and decap. The fact that Dumu is still keeping this bump going. I mean, if this army gets wiped, no gold, right? Realistically. For the time being, he's looking kosher. Which I just keeps baiting him in range, though. Could get another cannon emplacement, but the castle seems to be serving the purpose right now. Just brute forcing with the knights. Dimu's trying to force him to commit so he can fin that herd. But look at this. Kiljardy has another 22 knights queued up behind this. For a man who's got so little farm power, he still seems to be keeping a big reserve. Timer has been paused at 1 minute and 28 for a while now. Dimu. The hand cannoneers. They're starting to fin in numbers a little here. Knights are all gone. Can he actually do it though, Dimu? He's only got spearmen here, so the archers will trade out while there. The cannons are starting to arrive, which is snipe him down one by one. And the archers aren't doing too bad in the exchanges here. Hand cannoneers are just kind of overkilling a little bit. Only 20 hand cannoneers now. The cannons, this is the thing, when you get down to like 15 hand cannoneers, these cannons look like absolute chads. They're unstoppable. They're just trading so damn well here. It's crazy because Dimu has a clear military lead. But the issue is still the decap. With these static defenses, the siege as well. It complicates what would usually be a simple situation, and to make it even more complicated, Kiljardy now goes for another castle. Smart read. He knows his opponent can't take the central sacred site. The red palace blocks that. The north side is too far off. It's here or never. Do or die. It feels like Dimu is experiencing death by 1,000 cannons here. Castle might be about to go down, though. The problem is, Dimu... Wait, I think he only just glanced at... No, he doesn't see it in range. The keep being built to the side is being done so in a subtle fashion here. Kiljardy, he knows he's going to lose this keep, but it should be enough time to get the other one up. Dimu with the dive has been heavily reduced. He doesn't have a front line. The bombards have to leave. 35 seconds away. I can't believe this. Dimu, the meat grinder, just seems to be failing him. A few knights here and there to intercept reinforcements as well. Slows down the extra bombards. It's 20 seconds out. There is not much left of either of their armies at this stage. Dimu now just trying to target the enemy cannons. Isn't returning that effort. Remember, there's no point. Clock tower bombards are way too hard to trade in siege warfare. And their villages are being pulled. New cannon emplacement coming in on the second keep. Knights are massacring. Desperation mode here. Look at the economy. Even if he somehow gets this decap, what does his game look like afterwards? A scrapper. It's not even getting to that. GG comes out. It will be a 2-0 for the Finn, and what a way to do it. Late game, not something that you would expect to favor the French without Guildhall. But he skimmed that line, Finn, and he skimmed it perfectly.